Hi, everyone. My name is Joey Reese. Welcome to the Practice Center, where we talk about all things
mindfulness, forgiveness, and attitudinal healing.
I'm here with Michelé this morning. I'm excited to talk to you because you are a student and not a facilitator. And I think there is a different perspective for people who come on just wanting this to enhance their life versus using this as a career move or an opportunity to teach others. So I'm excited to hear all about who you are and what brought you into this forgiveness world. Welcome. I'm glad to be talking to you this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. So like I said, my name is Michelé and who I am, I'm a mother of two, a soon-to-be 9-year-old girl and 5-year-old boy. I am almost officially divorced, which kind of was brought me in to do mindful forgiveness the first time. One of my good friends is actually a facilitator now for it, and she's the one who introduced me to the practice and how it's changed her life. And when I first started, like when I was looking at it, like I had signed up and then I didn't go, and then I finally was like, no, I'm going to make this a priority because I needed to. I also, what I do for work is also I am a supervisor for a nonprofit where we work with cases with like CPS cases that are on moderate level. So there's just a lot of that, stuff going on that,
Yeah.
I work really hard to be able to separate that and to be in that field. But when basically why I started was, or why I signed up was because of my divorce. There was a lot going on with that. Yeah, I have a lot of support, and I think that was one thing that really helped. Basically, I felt blindsided in my marriage. He ended up cheating, and he got into things that weren't him, and I held so much anger and so much, but also just trying to keep myself together for my kids and what's best for my kids. I didn't want them not to have a relationship with their dad. I didn't, and that's something like co-parenting, and how do I communicate with him and not hold my anger and my hurts and my betrayal like at the forefront. And for the most part, I'm pretty level-headed, but there's so much that I just felt like I didn't know how to control like my emotions. I didn't know how to, like, they just scattered. Everything was just like was scattered. I was just trying to keep my head above water. And when I first heard of mindful forgiveness, I was like, I always hear people say like you can forgive a person. Forgiving a person is for you, not for them. And I never understood that before. I was like, no, you don't have to forgive people. Like they're the ones that hurt you, and you don't need to, and going through like mindful forgiveness was so like paramount for me because I really had time to like process it in a deeper level. And I took the time, instead of just like my work and and my kids and my schedule and everything. Like I knew what made me okay. Like working out makes me better,
Yeah.
eating healthy makes me better, paddling makes me better, being on the water, being with my support, like those things make me better. But I was still going through a lot.
So at the end of paddling and getting support and eating well and really taking care of yourself, what was happening on the inside that you knew you needed something else? Like how were the emotions coming out?
They're coming out like sporadic. Like I would just all of a sudden be super angry, and I'd
Yes.
all of a sudden be super resentful. And then my communication like with him and with other people started like just kind of deteriorating because I had too much. Like I felt like all my emotions were here and I
Yeah.
couldn't process what that was. And being able to, first of all, just take the time, like I'm signing up for this every week. I'm taking this time to be present for myself and to process, but also the way it's all set up is I really got to think deeper,
Mm.
and I really got to process what that, because I had a lot of anger, and it necessarily wasn't just to him. It was also to the people who hurt him and that he didn't feel he could deal with his trauma, and what, and that's, and so it just made me realize a lot more. And it made me realize like how my biggest thing right now is co-parenting.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been able to, because I don't have all the emotions, and and so everything is about the kids, and I'm able to refocus when talking with him. And, because he has a lot of trauma, so a lot of that came out, and that's why he acted out. And that's, still to this day, it's just like, I don't know the word, but he can just be reactive. And for me to know how to communicate with him in a positive way for our children so he doesn't become reactive has actually helped us a lot. Like, it's, like, I want the best for him, and I truly do. I can't ever be in that marriage again. I can't be in that relationship the way
Right.
it was, but I truly do want the best for him. I want, he's a good dad. He lost himself, and he became a very bad partner.
And you're making a very clear distinction between, I understand some of his story. Now I know how to manage him. I know what to say. I know how to manage myself so that this relationship of co-parenting can be a little
Yeah.
bit healthier. So
Okay.
this didn't get rid of your emotions, right? Because that's not our goal, to
No.
have you pretend like you don't have any.
Yeah.
So what happened to him? Can you articulate like what happened to your emotions?
I feel like I'm more thoughtful of them. I'm more aware of them. So when
Mhm.
it does happen, I'm able to just take a moment and like process it better, instead of just being reactive. Like, and I've basic I'm that's basically how my personality is anyway. But I feel like when everything feels chaotic, it's hard. Everything is just a scramble. And so like being able to just be more thoughtful of everything, every interaction, even if he's, not doing the best in communicating or not doing the best in co-parenting, instead of just being reactive and getting upset about it. It's like, okay, well, what can I do on my end to make this better? What can I do in reacting, in speaking with him or having this conversation? What can I do to make it better rather than just being reactive? And also knowing that, like, people just have, like, I don't know, like I have a lot of empathy for him. And I didn't, like, I didn't at first. It was like, well, you just should have figured your stuff out. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have been this bad person. You shouldn't have done these bad things, and you should have just been better. And not, and like, so in the forgiveness part, it's not that I necessarily like justify any of the actions he did or any of the things that were said to me or any of the ways that I felt like he made me feel. I didn't justify it, but it's just, I guess, understanding more, like, and not just being angry all the time, like really processing, like and during the process of like the mindful forgiveness, like one thing that we talk about is our revenge story. And it was kind of nice to just be able to be open about it, like, and just be
Yes.
like, this was what it, and then kind of go from there and process like what what would that be, and then kind of just working through that, like, because it's like, no, I'm not going to say that because it's wrong, or like, but
Right.
being able to say it and then get through it, and then like really think like, okay, moving forward, what is everything moving forward, and how do I like able to do this more positively? How can I, and like sometimes, and right now I'm kind of in a different like space, because when I first did mindful forgiveness, it was kind of the beginning of,
It was right at the beginning, I remember.
right at the beginning, yeah. And
Mhm.
so there's still like a lot of high emotions and a lot of like, and at this point I've basically sent all the paperwork out and waiting to get it to be officially like divorced. And there's still other logistics that happen after,
Right.
like special paperwork, but it's kind of like closing that chapter. And that's why I signed up for another one, because I feel like I needed it again. Like, I need to, this is like, I'm at a different point now, like
Mhm.
in my life, and where am I going from here, and what do I want, and how do I process it? Because there is like, I know this is the best decision, and I know me leaving was the best thing for me. It was the best thing, honestly, for him. It was the best thing for my children. And but there's still like a lot of sadness, like, and so I feel like I still am processing. It's just I'm just at a different point. So I just felt like I needed to take the time to really kind of work through some other feelings, like,
Yeah.
so
It's really important. Is there another piece of the 6-week process? We go over 7 different lessons in 6 weeks. Is there any other one that stands out for you, like when you think back?
um I don't know, like I don't remember all the titles of everything,
No,
but
that's okay. That's okay.
one thing that I think really helped me was there was a lot of time where we got to like journal things and think
Mhm.
through things, and there was just a lot of self-realization that, and this is like kind of a weird thing, but like I had actually been in this position before. Like I was in a relationship where they ended up cheating on me, and they ended up getting someone pregnant, and they ended up getting into drugs, and then like, and I was like, for some reason I totally forgot that. Like
Yeah.
until and I'm like, I've literally been here before, and it was really like, I don't know. It was, I don't know. It's just, it was just kind of a crazy thing, but to be able to like take the time and be like, why did this happen again? And what is happening? I don't know. It was like, that was like
Yeah.
the craziest things for me. Cause I was like, this literally has happened to me before. And I just never put that piece together. Like, I'd have no idea why.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, that was, yeah. So there's, I don't know, there's so much with mindful forgiveness. I can't even like remember like everything, but
Mhm.
just being able to really like sit down and think about everything, and and why I'm angry, and why I'm hurt, and why, and to be able to just take that time and process through it, and to also know that things are not always in my control. Like
Mhm.
that's one thing that I have a hard time with, because of the relationship that he's in now. Is It's a toxic one for him. It's for my kids. And but I also know that I don't have control of that, and I only
Mhm.
have control of what I do in as far as like co-parenting and how I'm there for my kids. And my daughter took it really hard, and so I got her into therapy, which was huge, which is something he actually fought me on for a long time. But then he finally came around with it and like saw how much it was helping her.
Oh,
And now,
wow. So
yeah, and
good. Good job.
she did so well in like being able to talk about her emotions, talk about everything, that the therapist is like, we're pretty good right now. Like she doesn't really need to see me, but if she wants to come back at some time, then she can. And but I can tell too with her, she just didn't know how to process anything.
Yeah.
Like, and so to see that just was so hurtful, because to see my, like we were supposed to be better. We weren't supposed to do this to you. Like we were so, that was our job, and we didn't do our job. And but for her to, I can see that she is so much more comfortable now, and she's so much more like, she can process her feelings better. Like there's still times where she'll get upset, but she doesn't know why, but she's able to kind of regulate herself and be like, I think I'm upset because of this, or I think I'm upset because of this, and like there's still a part of her that wants mommy and daddy back together, but she
Right.
also is the realization that it's not going to happen. It's okay. We both still love her very much. We're still a family. It just looks a little different, and we're always going to be there for her. And I feel like that's helped her so much. But I feel like, I don't know if I would have thought about therapy for her at first, like, because I was, like I said, I was just trying to keep my head above water, like
Yeah.
get my kids to school.
God,
And
do you know, you recognize that this is you doing better?
yeah,
This is the healing. This is the intergenerational stuff that's getting better.
yeah,
Like just that.
yeah, yeah. And I think too, that's like one thing I also, I feel like it was good for him too, because he started going to therapy. And yeah, which is like, is so wonderful. And I believe he's still going. We really just communicate about the kids, but he did like let me know that. And there's things that he's realizing, like that he could, like he didn't realize. Like he told me, it's like, well, whoever he's with now is like, she just knows how to press my buttons. I never had an anger issue before. And I'm like, well, you did. I just knew how to regulate you. And
Right.
not, and like, but he even said too, he's like, yeah, he goes, I wish I would have been able to talk to you about my trauma. Like he had a very, and that's one thing is like his childhood trauma was so severe and he never really talked. I had like a little bit of information and that was it. And I feel like if he would have been able to really process and been open, but there's that thing about therapy, there's like this stigma that men need to suck it up and they just need to get through it. And, and that's one thing because he fought me on the like therapy for our daughter. I think it's because he didn't want anyone knowing what happened, what he did and what his story was. And the more that, and I told him, I was like, I don't want there to be a stigma that therapy is bad, because it's not. It's so helpful. It's so good. And, and in the field that I work in, like therapy is so good for children. They're so good for adults. It's so, like, and he finally like came around like, yeah, I can see that this is helpful for her. And he was able to put his pride aside and be like, yes, this is what she needs because she's having a hard time. And, so that was a huge win, honestly. Like,
Jeez,
yeah,
this is really remarkable. That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. So now you're signed up for another workshop.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about, and it's the predominant feeling is sadness versus anger the first time around.
Yeah.
So what do you, just.
But it's sad. Like there's like a sadness, but there's also like a like excitement for what's going to happen next. And that's another thing too that I realized at the beginning. Like I would look back on pictures and memories and then I would get angry or I would get hurt because it's like, I know what you were doing when this happened. I know. I just like all those thoughts like came back to me. But now when I look back on pictures, or I even look back at like our wedding, like I look back on like experiences and I don't have that anger. And I don't really necessarily have like a huge sadness. There's like a little sadness, but it's also like that was good times. Like we had
Yes.
a wonderful wedding. It was the blast. Like, like, and then I'm able to look back and be like, I don't regret the marriage. I don't regret, our relationship. I do regret how long I allowed certain things to happen. And I do wish I would have left a little earlier, but I can't take that back. And that's where we're at. And, and I know that I tried my hardest to make things work. And, and it just got to a point where it's like, I couldn't stay, and I couldn't stay for me, because what kind of example would that be to my kids? What kind of example would that be to my daughter on what relationship she accepts in the future, or my son and how he treats somebody in the future? And like, and that was my biggest, like, that's why I'm leaving, was more for my kids than me. And then now being removed, I see how much of it is for me.
Yes.
And that it was the best decision. And like I didn't fail, and I guess that's like one thing, like when women are thinking about leaving or divorcing, it's like, wow, you failed.
Right.
I failed at my marriage. And I didn't fail. Like I did everything I could. I don't regret like being married. I don't regret the life that we had. And like I don't know what my future is gonna look like, but I've just know I'm not gonna lose myself again. And that's like it's a wonderful feeling. And I guess because like that's why I wanted to sign up for it again, because I'm in a different space now. Like there is a sadness, but there is like a happiness. And I just, like there's a lot of things happening in my life and I want to just move forward. And I just feel like I need to be centered again.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm starting to get a little anxious, and I just need time to like focus and recenter myself and be in my, I don't want to say my thoughts, but in my, like presently in my thoughts and my feelings.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not doing that. And that's why, that's
wow,
why
but you have the skills now to be aware of that and then to take action before it starts spiraling in the other direction. That says a lot about the work that you've been doing. It's easy to kind of look at you and going, well, you have your shit together, girl. Like you didn't need mindful forgiveness. You were probably gotten it together anyway. And I do want to make it clear that this isn't like some sort of magic pill. Like there's lots of different interventions, and you talked a lot about therapy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, for me, and I guess that's something that people have actually said to me. They're like, oh, couldn't even tell you were going through it. I didn't even know this was happening to you. Like, you just seem like you have it all together. And it's like, no, I don't. Like, like, but I do think, overall, I do better of regulating myself. But I also think, like, one of my friends was talking to me, and we were talking about, like, the brain is a muscle too. So you have to work your brain all the time, which is consistently, like, working through everything. It's not just like, okay, I did mindful forgiveness, I did therapy, I'm all good. Like,
Yeah.
that's not really what it is. It's every day working on how to keep these practices going, to recognize when what makes you better. Like, that's why I said, like, I know me exercising makes me better, like, emotionally and mentally it makes me better. And if I don't, then I start getting anxious, or I start getting like, I don't want to say, like, not even clear headed, like, and that's something, like, even eating healthy,
Mhm.
like, that's something that I know doesn't just help me physically, it helps me mentally and emotionally. And I recognize that. And and, like, reading, like, what am I reading? Who am I surrounding myself with? Like, are we talking about, like, are we supporting each other in a way to grow? Or am I surrounding myself with people that are, like, hindering me or putting me in a bad state of mind, or just not being the best influence? Because that's the thing too. Like, I'm a 40-year-old woman, but if everyone's still influential, like, if I'm just going to hang around people who complain all the time or who have bad habits, like, that's, you are who you surround yourself with. And I, I really, like, I'm really grateful for my support, because I know who I surround myself with makes me better and helps me through it. And if it wasn't for paddling and my community in paddling and my friends and my parents who have been amazing, I I would be in a worse situation now.
Yeah.
And like, and actually what made me think about doing another mindful forgiveness is my other friend just finished her first, one. And I was like, and I remember Noy was be like, yeah, you need to do it a couple times. Like, you can't, or more, like, she's like, the first time is, you realize stuff, but then every time she's like, every time I've done it again, I realize more things. I'm working through more things. And that was, that was really just in my head, like, okay, it's not just I did one, I'm good, like,
Right.
why do I need it? And why, like, just making myself a priority. And I think as, like, moms, we
Mhm.
tend to not do that. and and just knowing that it's okay, that because when I take care of myself, I'm a better mom, I'm a
Yeah.
better employee, I'm a better supervisor, I'm a better, like, everything, when I'm able to take care of myself. And when I don't take care of myself, all of those things start lacking. And I've been in the social work field, like, for a while, but I've been able to separate myself because that wasn't my home life. Like, it wasn't something that, and then when things started happening, it was so close that, like, I could be a case. My situation could be a case that I would be a part, like, and that like was really hard for me. So when these cases would come in, I would read them and it hit home in a different way, rather than just reading it and being like, okay, well, this is what happened, this is how we address it, and, like, being real. It hit me in a different way. And, like, so work was hard for me, like, when I was going through all the chaos, because it just hit me so emotionally. And, like, and but what's helped me is that I'm able to still have that compassion, and I look at everything differently now, because not that I look down on any situation, but I think I just have a lot more understanding for what people are going through.
Mhm.
And that people are so strong and resilient, but we're also so fragile.
Yeah.
And just, having that understanding, I think, makes me better in my job now, because I'm able to address things in not just a clinical way, like, in a, okay, well, what I'm hearing in this case is this is happening. So I'm able to, like, supervise my case managers in a different way, rather than just being like, okay, well, this is what came in. So these are the services that need to be provided. And so and for a while, like I said, it was hard at work, like, work was really hard, but now I feel like it's actually helped me to, like, I don't know, just be better and more understanding. And yeah, still working. It's always still a working process,
Always,
but
all of us, always.
I think, like, in my everyday life and where I'm at now, I'm a lot more aware than I was before. I think I've always had that part. But when I lost myself, who I was as a person, and I didn't realize how much for so long.
Mm.
And the more I'm removed from the relationship, and the more that I'm real cognizant of my actions and what I'm doing and what I'm saying. Um, and I feel good. Like I feel like I'm making the right decisions. Like not always, there's things that I've said that I wish I could take back, and there's
Yeah.
actions that I wish I would have done differently. But at the same time, like I'm in a better place of like, I reflect a lot more. And especially like I'm more aware of my children, and I'm more aware of how I communicate with them, and even how they communicate with me. My son is only 5, but he's really good at regulating his feelings. Like he's really good at like, he'll be in a tantrum and he'll say like, I'm mad at whoever, and I'm like, are you mad at them? Do you hate them? Or he's like, no, I'm just frustrated because they said this. And and he's like, oh, or and like I think for a 5-year-old boy, like to really understand, like and I think it's because the way we talk to each other. Like I talk to him, I don't talk at him, or I talk to my daughter like, okay, let's figure out where this emotion is coming from, or what was your thought process, or and mid tantrum they're able to like realize things and like articulate it. And that's what I want for my kids. Like I don't want them to feel like they don't know, like everything is emotional and everything is reactive, like and and I think that that's what like I felt helped me was mindful forgiveness, and how I speak with my children and how I interact with them. And how, and I can see that it's coming around with them, like they're really taking it in. And that's and they're so young, so I'm really thankful for that, like yeah. And then I
Beautiful.
don't know what all the other questions were.
What does forgiveness mean to you now?
Forgiveness for me now means understanding, and it just looks different to me. Like it's not, forgiveness isn't like, okay, I forgive you, move on. Like you can forgive somebody and never be a part of their life again. You can, and not necessarily, I'm not talking about like my divorce, but just having that realization, like I can forgive somebody and then just not be, and they don't have to be a part of my life. I can have a lot of empathy, and I can have a lot of understanding, but it doesn't mean like that's what forgiveness is. Like I don't know, like I feel like I just have a lot, I just look at things differently. It's not just like anger, and like it's just really like I can, like especially for my relationship with my ex, is like I do have a lot of empathy, and I truly want the best for him. Like not saying like, oh yeah, I want the best for him, like just because that's what I'm supposed to say. Like I do, like and I know that that means it's not with me, which is fine, and I'm fine with that, like, and just having that, like, to be in this place is not a place that I was before. It was a lot
Mhm.
of anger, like you should have made it work with me. You should have been better for me. You should have, like you shouldn't have done those things to me. But that's, I don't know. It's just if that makes sense, like with
It
it, but
totally
like,
makes sense.
yeah,
Totally makes sense. You just absolutely made that shift from you should have and what
yeah,
was owed to you to, I could let some of that go, right?
yes,
Then that's,
yeah,
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 beautiful, beautiful.
yeah,
So
yeah.
who do you think mindful forgiveness is for?
Everybody. Like I feel, everybody has stuff that they're going through, if they ever had like childhood trauma, or trauma as an adult, or not even, I don't even know if it's trauma. Like everyone has interactions with people, so at some point in your life there was an interaction that left a mark on you.
Mhm.
And I think everyone should go through it, because it really is helping you find yourself and find like how you process things and how you move forward with things. And I really like solution focused things, and I feel like that's what mindful forgiveness is. It's about, okay, let's address this, let's process it, and let's move forward. Like what are we doing to be better? And yeah, I feel like it's for everybody. And what I love too
Agree.
about the format is that I was with strangers, and I felt very open. I didn't feel intimidated to share my story and be open. and with complete strangers, and then at the end of it, like, I felt really close with everyone, and I felt really supported by people who, and bonded, because some of our stories were similar, in certain ways. And so, like, to be like, I really appreciated that, like, part, and it was so much more not intimidating than I thought it was going to be, like,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate just how it's set up, and having that, everyone to be in the right mindset coming in, and everyone was really supportive of each other and understanding and listening, and and like I said, strangers, like, so, like, I don't know, it never felt uncomfortable to me, though, and I
Oh,
think
so
that
great.
was
Oh,
great.
that's
Yeah.
great to hear that feedback. So any last words, anything that you wanted to share that you didn't get an opportunity to share? Here's your chance.
I think I've shared everything, but I think, like I said, a big takeaway is that is, our mind is also a muscle we need to work all the time.
Mhm.
And I love the practice so much, and in different stages of whatever's happening in your life. I think there's just so much I realized about myself and about my healing and about who I am and who I want to be. Um, and I'm really looking forward to the next session with this, where I'm at in my life right now.
Oh, so beautiful. Michelé, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. It's not the easiest
Yeah.
to do that. And so I really appreciate your willingness and your ability to just articulate your process and where you are right now. I look forward to your next time. So maybe we can talk again in a few months down the road.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Mahalo. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you, everyone.